right, what's up, everybody? It's Maisha Edmond, licensed cosmetologist in the state of New York. Also, your most favorite trichology mentor and business strategist. What is going on? Happy Friday to everybody. I know that my title says, I think it says end of week wind down, right? And it's still kind of early, but it's still the end of the week for me. Hey, what's going on, Shay? So listen. I'm super excited because so much stuff is going on. I want to give y'all an update about what I have going on to give you a little more insight about group mentorship that is starting in about 4 days. Is it 4 days yet? 5 days, and all of the things. So first, a little bit of housekeeping. I am live on Edmond Trichology on Instagram. I'm also live on Trichology_911 on Instagram, live on Facebook, Maisha Edmond, and I'm live on YouTube, Maisha Edmond. So wherever you are, let me know where you're coming from, so I'll know how to thank you, how to say hey, and all the things. Right? If you have comments, put them in the chat, and let's get to it. So it is the wind down. Why do we need this wind down? I need this wind down, child, because this has been a day. This has been a week, right? I have really been experiencing a lot of momentum for this week. Like, like lots of good stuff has happened, but then I've also been like kind of stuck in some places where I'm like, oh, do I move forward? What do I do? How do I help people? How do I show up? Can I show up? Do I have what it takes? A lot of different things like that. So that's definitely like been like a thing for me, is like, how do I show up? Do I have what it takes? Am I able to help people? But I know I am. But I think that a lot of times you kind of get this, like you just kind of like unsure. Not that I'm looking like for validation from like outside, but you want your work to speak for you. You want your, hey, Shell, you want your work to speak for you. You want to be able to say that you're effective and that you're impactful. So as trichologists, and helping trichologists, you want to make sure that your work is impactful. You want to make the changes that you promise your clients, right? You want to make sure you're doing business the right way. And if you're not doing business on par to what you're saying you can do, then you have to look at your skill set. You have to look at your commitment, all those different things. So it's like really, really a big thing. That being said, hey, that being said, I want to talk about, I got a few things. Huge things are happening. First, let's start with group mentorship is starting on the 15th. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. 4 weeks to get yourself in order. You already know I was in the Army. We about to get Drill Sergeant McCormick out the box, right? I'm super excited because if you are somebody that's looking for strategy, if you're somebody that's looking for a way to really position yourself, right? It's a lot less about how you're going to give the next product or sell the next service, and more so about positioning, right? Because you might not be getting the clients that you believe that you deserve, or you're not getting those interactions that you know that you're worthy of, because you're talking to the wrong people. You're talking too low. You're talking too low. You're talking to people sometimes, right? And I remember being, going through this. Sometimes you're talking to people that's saying, give me a conditioner, leave it on my hair for 15 minutes in a plastic bag with some heat. I'm not going to pay for the trichological services, right? But if you know that you're a trichologist, then you need to shift who you're speaking to. It's your positioning, right? It's like, I remember, so like this, like one of my most favorite hotels is the Garden City Hotel. And so at the Garden City Hotel, in the room, the water is like $7 a bottle. Regular old bottle of water, $7. Same water that I had at home, right? But the thing was, it was where it was positioned, right? You get a bottle of water from the Dollar Tree or the Dollar and Change Tree. It's $1.25. Take that same bottle of water and you put it in the Garden City Hotel. It's $7. Take that same bottle of water. You take it from the Garden City Hotel and put it in a desert, right? The Mojave Desert, and it's like $1 million. Same water, different positioning. So really look at your positioning. What is your positioning? Also, how are you leading your conversations as it relates to what you're offering, right? Because there's a difference between benefits and transformation. If you don't know the difference between your benefits and your transformation, benefits make people curious, right? But the transformation makes people commit. Benefits are going to sell the service, but transformation is going to sell the outcome, right? So you probably saying, okay, so what's the difference? How does that look as a trichologist? So as a trichologist, benefits, you're leading with benefits. Benefits are surface, and transformation is going to be your proof. So when you give the clients benefits, you're listing the features that make life easier, right? So you're going to say, oh, you're going to have a healthier scalp. You're going to have thicker hair. You're going to have restored confidence, right? Sounds good, but that's what they get. But when you show transformation, you're revealing who they become, right? So you'll say, like, you'll stop hiding under wigs. You'll start showing up in photos again. And finally, you believe that your hair can grow, right? And it talks to who they are or who they will be at that point. So we're going to be covering all that stuff in our boot camp, really looking at, do you have a signature service? So many of us do not have a signature service. We kind of like, you scroll on Instagram, you see somebody have a head spa, now you need a head spa. You look at somebody else, you see that they don't have all that stuff. You get rid of everything, and then you just using one magnifying glass. You see somebody else that said they're giving classes, they're not touching the clients at all. So now you want to give classes. It's like, okay, who are you? How do you want to show up as a trichologist? What's important to you? What do you present as a trichologist? What are you going to offer? What do people get when they work with you? That's a big thing. What do I get when I work with you? What do I get? And this is the thing too, because I speak to a lot of trichologists that are kind of like getting on track. And you almost feel forced to say, I'm going to give you 12 of these and 9 of these and 3 of these, and you get to be with me for an hour, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But that's not what you need. Like, you need a little more than that, right? You need to be able, hey, Shalonda. So you really have to look at what you are offering, right? The problem sometimes is not the hair, like I said, it's the positioning, right? You're a trichologist, you're not a technician. So you have to start acting like it, right? A lot of times your trichology practices is not working because trichology is not saturated. It isn't saturated. But a lot of times it's sloppy because people are making stuff up. Most trichologists don't fail because they're untrained, right? They fail because they're unseen. Your positioning is off. And when your positioning is off, then the people that need to see you can't see you, right? So if your trichology practice is not growing, if your business is not growing, it's because you're still selling shampoo and not solutions. And that's the real deal. You're selling shampoo, but you're not selling your solutions, right? You are the solution. You're the one that's needed, right? You're the one that has the answers. So how will you begin to position yourself to show up? And I made a post earlier just talking about, like, basically the truth of why, like, most trichology businesses fail, because they look like everyone else and they're trying to sell hair growth. And they're not leading a transformation. One of the things that I always tell, like, mentees and people that I work with is that it is not your responsibility to grow hair as a trichologist. It sounds funny because trichology, like, I'm growing your hair back, right? But it's not your responsibility to grow hair. It's not to sell hair growth. You don't lead a transformation. When you became a trichologist, right, you started to solve root causes. right? But the thing is, your business still talks like a salon. So you have all the things, but you're talking the wrong way. And so that's going to be a big issue for you, right? You're also, remember I was saying about the positioning, people don't buy scalp analysis, right? They're buying answers. They buy relief from shedding. They buy the peace about what's happening. They buy the proof that they're not crazy. I knew that once I had this baby, this was happening. And it's not enough for clients anymore to hear, oh, you had a boy and he took your whatever, and you had a girl and she stole your beauty. No, what is it behind this? And do you have the wherewithal to help me get out of it, right? And also another thing that I wrote in my post, I said, you're leading with content and not conviction. So you have all this education, right? And all that other stuff. But, you know, if you don't have a clear message, you can't be the authority. And so if you always sound like, you know, studies show, and, you know, this is this and this is that, right? When you do that, people are going to treat you like, you know, like you're just an information page. But you know what you're doing. You have everything that you need to be who you need to be in the trichology field. You just don't know how to pull it together. You're diagnosing clients, but you're not looking at your business, right? You're looking at inflammation in the scalp, but you can't identify the stagnation in your brand. So you don't really need more followers. You need systems, you need language, and you need consistency. So some of you saying, well, if I have more followers, no, but if your systems were in place, you could funnel those few followers in the system, have a language that really breaks down what those clients need, and be consistent. Show up and show up consistently. Show up all the time. I told somebody this week, you're inconsistent until you're not. This is not something you can pray away. This is not something that you can hope away, that you can give away, right? You can only be consistent and show up when you are consistent and show up. And that's a decision that you're going to have to make. But you might have too much stuff. You have too many things all around you that are keeping you from being consistent. Because a lot of times we wrestle with and we contend with our end goal. If I compared myself to who I know I'm going to be in the future, I'm always going to be discouraged because I'm not her yet. But if I put systems in place, if I tweak my language and I become consistent, it will be guaranteed that I will be her soon. Right? So that being said, you also have built a practice, right? But maybe not a presence. What does that mean? Your clients can't find you, or your digital footprint doesn't match your expertise. If your page doesn't look like a clinic or look like they can trust you in whatever area you said you're going to show up in, then they're not going to trust you like that. They're not going to believe that you can do that. You said, I'm a trichologist and I grow hair and I do this and I do that. And then your page got like bicycles and chicken legs, right? It's like, okay, but when does she have time to do that? And some people say, well, this is my private page or this is my page and I put my kids on there and I like to cook and that's fine. But then you need to find another page so that you can get done what you need to get done. Because honestly, like your Instagram page, your Facebook page, if it's business is like the open part of your funnel, it is the awareness part of your funnel. And if it's the awareness part of your funnel, then they need to be aware of what you do in business if that's what you want to attract business. Right? Because trichology, it doesn't just restore hair. It restores identity. And what if you found a place to position yourself where you can help those around you to restore their identity, who they are, who they want to show up as, who they believe they are, who they've been this whole time that's buried in shame from hair shedding and hair loss? What if you were the person that helped to restore identity? And if you believe that you can be that person, and I know you can be that person, and you are that person, you have the ear of people. But what you're not doing is allowing yourself to show up and be positioned in the right place for those people to hear you. See, because the thing is, then it messes with your identity. And then you believe that everything that you've done and all the money that you spent and all the things that you're doing to become this great trichologist, it don't work. But that's not true. You're talking to the wrong people, right? So I want you to join me next week for Trichology Group Mentorship, the boot camp edition, because Sergeant McCormick is out here. And it starts on October 15th. It is over on November 19th. So you have 5 days left to join. If you're serious about the positioning, if you're serious about your purpose in this industry, then this is where you belong. I'm super excited to work with you. I cannot wait. Inbox me if you like, Maisha. I really, 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 really want to be a part of this, but I don't know how I'm going to do it. Inbox me. Let me know what your deal is. I have a few more scholarships that will bring the price down for you, and some other options, financing options. Okay. All right. Then have a great day today, and happy hair growing.